Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. Inside of today's video, a little bit of a different one. So I've been seeing a lot of discourse, especially since Wendy's release, that people are getting more and more frustrated with the new Brawler releases, which is a given, right? With Brawl Stars, I'd say 75% of the time, maybe even more often than not, a Brawler on release is A or S tier in the meta, which Brawl Stars do have some really good reasons for that. I can definitely side with them with the fact that when I've spoke about it on Time to Explain, that a Brawler, you know, that is really underpowered, is basically dead on release. And when you're adding a fresh content into the game with a new Brawler, you want it to be pretty powerful because it gives people a reason to play the game. Obviously, it's not that exciting if you're just picking up a Brawler and it's just really underwhelming. You know, I have that in other games, for example, where, you know, if they're fresh content and, you know, I'm playing it, you know, like a new gun in Call of Duty or something, and it's just terrible, you just kind of just click off and it's just not that important. But then on the flip side, it has been very, very toxic this year. So I'm going to be diving into it, whether it's actually good or bad for the game, and just overall just open up a conversation for you guys, whether you enjoy these types of things, whether you think it's actually concerning leading into the future. So it is quite clear. So this is where it didn't all originate from here, but I've been seeing it for days, especially since Wendy's release. But he makes good points. None of the brawlers we've added recently require skill. I mean, they do require some skill, but I can see some instances in the kit where they don't. So you've got Pierce, a sniper with infinite bullets and an undodgeable ultimate. So yeah, it definitely is a little bit cheesy, but Pierce does require some skill, especially because you are punished for missing your shots. Star Nova, on the other hand, I kind of agree with a little bit here because her main attack is just so wide and you literally cannot miss it. So yeah, they've kind of reacted with that with a slower reload speed. But then her ultimate is just her super, it's infinite ammo, no unload like attack delay. I think a few of these things need to be changed a little bit. You've got Bolt, who has been nerfed recently, but upon release, you just roll around, you click your super, and you just end up getting kills pretty easily. And then you have Wendy on the other hand. So yeah, I thought it was hilarious because it was quite clear, literally after an hour after playing Wendy, even against noobs, that she was completely broken, where you've got Brawler Fire with some crazy stats here. Like, look at that win rate, it's just insane. Look at the win rates on all of the maps, like above 70%. I think even anything above 60% is quite alarming. Anything close to 80% is game breaking, like actually game breaking win percentage rise. Absolutely insane. So Wendy, honestly, I feel like we're not even giving her enough justice. Might be one of the best brawlers of all time. I think easily for me, top 10 brawlers of all time, and even close to like getting close to the top 5 period, honestly. Imagine Wendy before the nerfs as well. That is just the insane point. So let's go back to, let's just talk about the brawlers that have came out recently then. So let's go on to Pierce. So people, again, like Pierce, upon release, he was released basically at the end of December. Pierce, you can kind of see he's received about 12 nerfs, I believe. And with Pierce, I can definitely see his annoyances. So one thing that they've not changed about him, in my opinion, which they should change, is this last shot sequence. So you've got your last shot, right? So you've got one slow. You pop gadget, you've got another slow. Oh, you've got another ammo from that. So you're basically spamming 3 slows at the same time. Yes, they've really nerfed it with the cooldown duration, but I think the gadget itself is something that needs to be changed fundamentally, not just the cooldown. I still think you're rewarded too much. You get 3 big shots. Like, you got to remember as well, the slow has a bigger projectile, if you guys were unaware, so it's easier to hit it. It slows, it deals a lot of damage, and you can combine it with super. Of course, you got as well the super, I think, is a little bit of a problem. It's not anything crazy, but you can actually auto-aim this pretty much 9 times out of 10, and you will hit people with it. And then you've got the hypercharge, which is very, very strong as well. You know, Pierce isn't like the most problematic brawler in the meta, but he can be very annoying to face off against. Brawler released after that was Glowy. So Glowy was a good case of insanely underrated. I remember when he first came out, I thought he'd be really, really strong. A lot of people thinking he was pretty weak. So with Glowy, they nerfed his range quite a lot, made him pretty terrible, and then his range is about where it is right now. But upon release, his range was much more, and again, he was an S tier brawler, and he was very, very strong, very toxic. And with Glowy, he's got a few annoying things, so I'll quickly talk about those things that I wish they would fix. So for example, I think one annoying thing is when well, this gadget, I think one foremost, it probably doesn't need any big fixes, but big problem is that once he supers him and his teammates, he gains like 75% of his supercharge, which is a bit too cheesy. So Glowy's in an okay spot, but again, another really strong brawler upon release. And then moving on to Sirius. Sirius was insanely broken upon release, and he was even more annoying because a lot of people were trying to play ladder, especially with the rework of prestiges, and it was one of the most frustrating periods to me because you just get these random absolute bots that had never played the game, just able to farm super for free, and then the clones just do an insane insane amount of damage and insane amount of work. So yeah, I think Sirius is actually in a really underrated spot right now. He's still incredibly strong. And the clones were just so toxic. It's a new mechanic in the game, and he was the 100th brawler, so you kind of anticipated him being a very strong brawler. But I still think the clones are quite problematic. It's a really, really strong mechanic to have inside of a game. So again, another like broken brawler upon release. And then moving on to the next brawler who was absolutely ridiculous upon release. And again, a few of the casuals thought, oh, Naria's not that great. But with Naria, if you guys remember, upon her release, you could literally just throw out the snake and it would auto-aim onto brawlers. It would also, if people are in bushes, it would auto-aim onto them. Another broken feature about Naria as well, if you just literally threw your super onto an enemy, it would deal some crazy, like it could literally one-shot like 8k health brawlers, which was insane. And especially because as well with Naria's main attack, you can throw your super over walls and throw it a large distance, so you essentially would be sniping so many different brawlers off the map. It's only until literally the last update where she's become a fairly balanced brawler, but she's still like a high B tier brawler in the meta. And then you had for the longest time as well, as soon as her hypercharge came out, like look at the state of the amount of, I mean, the snakes have been nerfed, I believe. I forgot what nerfs there were. I think there's less snakes now, or they just have less health. But there's been so many nerfs to Naria. She was so broken. You got to remember as well, her poison damage was insane upon release as well. She was so incredibly broken for a pretty long time as well. So again, another really strong brawler. And then moving on to Damon. Where do I even start about Damon? Everyone knows how broken Damon was. I think I counted, it's 17 nerfs, including the Brawl Arena one. So about 16 nerfs. And he's only now just came at a point where he's manageable. And even still, you see him in competitive, he can still do a lot of work. It's just now that he can't just kill people on his own. He needs a little bit of support most of the time. But still, his super is one of the most toxic inside of the game. It is so frustrating to just be thrown around. And again, this is actually because of a core mechanic with Damon, which I don't think they'll change. It's the fact that you can get your super, no, you're not back for free from a star power. I think until they change that, Damon will forever be at least minimum like high B tier brawler inside of a meta. You jump in, you get a knockback, you knock them against the speakers, they knock back again. It's a very broken mechanic to have. But like I said, Damon upon release was one of the most filthy broken brawlers in the game's history. I think he's like top 5 in brawler history. Honestly, he was so strong. I got him to nearly prestige 3 with randoms, which is because he was just so brain dead. So yeah, Damon, again, one of the most annoying brawlers in Brawl Stars history, in my opinion. I absolutely hate the guy. The fact that he just jump in and just create so much chaos, I just really hate it. And then that led us on to Star Nova, I believe. So with Star Nova, I think she was really underappreciated. I would definitely underrated her when I first played the first day. Then after a couple of days, I realized her true potential. But by the time it came around to balance change time, she, like, it was quite clear, like, me and a lot of pros were saying that Star Nova was like a high A tier brawler, low S tier brawler in the meta. And even after the defeat, they still came with some big buffs to Star Nova, with like health, with main attack damage, etc. And that completely broke her. She became absolutely insane because you could just fly through people like crazy. You had a gadget that could last for 10 seconds and just create so, like, she was uncounterable. One of the few brawlers in the game. You know, when brawlers are strong, there's typically a counter to her, but because she could do everything, right? Like, she's got a really easy to hit main attack, which literally, like the tweet said, you can auto-aim pretty much any distance and not miss. And then you've got a super that has like unlimited ammo with a really fast unload speed. And then you've got the hypercharge on top of that, which is literally unlimited ammo. And then you've also got this dash that gives you invulnerability. So I don't know why they've even added these two things in combination with her. So yeah, she's definitely more manageable, though. She's received 4 nerfs, which have definitely impacted her in the meta, but she's still like a low S tier brawler in the meta, high A tier brawler in the meta. She's still pretty insane. So yeah, going forward with Star Nova, I definitely wish they made her main attack a little bit harder to hit. And I definitely wish that they nerfed the unload speed with this main attack just a little bit, because there's just too many cheesy things about her. So now moving on to our good friend Bolt. So Bolt is probably, I'd say people complain more about Bolt than Damon in some instances. He can be very frustrating to face off against. Right now, he's definitely in the strong, like again, like high A tier, low S tier in the meta. Definitely annoying if you haven't got the right counters, but we see him pro play. I mean, often I just ban him out if the opponents have last pick, because he's such a strong brawler. But like, as you can see right here, like, he can fly across the map so quickly with his super. He's been nerfed probably like 6+ times in terms of his automatic supercharge rate. He's received damage nerfs, and it was the main problem with his star power, right? Unstoppable. It used to grant like a 15% extra speed boost. It used to as well. It used to stop any type of CC for 4 whole seconds, and you've got damage reduction on top of that. So again, he's a little bit more manageable now, but when you think about it with Bolt, he can cover so much ground, and you've got like a gadget that can give you 4k shield. You've got this star, I mean the hypercharge isn't that great, but the star power is still very, very strong once you time it correctly, and you're literally not reward. I mean, I like Bolt because he's a different brawler, but at the same time, these types of brawlers probably shouldn't be close to the high top of the meta because they literally, it's no skill in the gameplay when you think about it. With Bolt, it's zero skill in this brawler. Yes, it takes a while to adjust to his mechanics. When you think about it, you're just rolling around in a circle, and then you wait till your super, then you click super button and you just roll into them. Like, there's not really a lot of skill that are really involved with Bolt. And yeah, he was pretty game breaking upon release as well. Then that leads us on to Nori as well, the newest release brawler behind Wendy. So with Nori, I think people definitely overrated Nori a little bit. Yes, he is very powerful, and yes, very annoying because he can just catapult from one side of the map to the other. The main problem with him is the space he creates, and he's definitely problematic. Like, he's very strong, don't get me wrong, but I don't think he's on the level of some of the other brawlers we've seen, like Star Nova, like Damon, Naria, Sirius, Pierce. I think these brawlers have definitely had better primes than Nori, but that doesn't go to say that Nori can be very, very strong. So the strongest thing about Nori is, again, like being able to catapult from one side of the map so easily, and you've also got the ability in Heist, you know, just to constantly slash through the high safe like this, like hold the attack a little bit and you can deal a lot of damage. He's also got a quick unload speed, and you've got like a few mechanics, like your super's basically used just to apply pressure most of the time and just escape certain situations. But yeah, he can definitely be very annoying to deal with, and he's still an S-tier brawler in the meta. So again, another very strong brawler. So that leads us on to probably the biggest point here, and that's probably why it's a big cause for concern maybe going into the future for future brawler releases. We've had this over the years where I think 2025, there was a few really weak brawlers, definitely like Trunk, Ollie. I don't think Meeple's the greatest on release either. There's a few other brawlers like that. I think even Finks wasn't the greatest brawler upon release. But now, this year, everyone just seems broken. And it's not even seems. I think pretty much every brawler I've listed was insane upon release. A few a bit under the radar brawlers like Star Nova and Glowy upon their release. But yeah, Wendy is just probably even better than Damon upon release when you're thinking about it, or just as good, because you've got a brawler that literally doesn't die. You've watched my Prestige 3 brawler video. Wendy doesn't die, and it's just absolutely insane how tanky she can be. So there's a few problems for Wendy. I think the biggest problem, I don't know why she needs to like self-shield so strongly. I don't know why she spawns with a 4k shield. I don't know why this, like, look at this trait. This trait is just insane with her shield. So you think here, you can just tap a few brawlers. You're going to hit shots Wendy. It's very easy to hit. And once you're receiving damage, you can constantly just keep your shield on top of you, right? Because you're not going to miss. This projectile so big. It's so fast as well. It deals a pretty decent amount of damage as well. So essentially, by the time your turret has run out, you've earned so much supercharge. You're just infinitely cycling your supers. Yes, these numbers can be toned down, but the level of broken that she's at right now is just... it's game breaking. It actually is game breaking. I don't like to use that term I don't use that term lightly, but it literally is breaking the ladder system right now. It is so incredibly overpowered. Like, does she need to also have the ability to shield her teammates? Like, for how fast of a reload speed she has, like, she can shield herself, she can shield teammates, she can deal a decent amount of damage as well. 2,000 damage is pretty good. Like, there's 0 point in using Gus. Gus is just a forgotten brawler right now because you can go Wendy, she can do everything. She grants shields, she walks over water, for crying out loud. She can jump, she can do all these things and deal so much damage. It's like impossible to miss. But the main thing is definitely her cycling the supers and just basically being immortal. It is such a toxic brawler to face off against. If you guys have played the mirror game mode, you would know the power of Wendy. So basically is what I'm trying to say after all of this waffle, is that the brawlers being released this year have definitely been too strong, 100% too strong, and maybe going into the future, maybe a little bit more feedback from the community or play testers or even content creators giving a bit of better feedback. You know, maybe I'm guilty myself, even at this point. I mean, it's not ultimately up to me that makes the decision, or even any people that play tests. Ultimately, it will be down to like Supercell and the dev team behind it on how strong they want to be. But I definitely think... like, I don't mind when a brawler's strong, or even like S-tier, because in ranked you can escape them. I don't mind it, but I think they've probably pushed the mark a little bit here with Wendy, with Damon. I think that it is like some of the best primes we've seen in a while, like Sirius as well, for example. Last year, we kind of had it good because Ziggy wasn't really the greatest, right? We also had Gigi as well. We know how we feel about Gigi. Mina was very good. Ali was very good on release. Finks was like a bit meh. Lumi was super good on release. Jaeyoung was a bit meh. They also had Ollie, who was a bit meh as well, but then got stronger with hypercharges. So, yeah, last year was definitely a bit of a breather in terms of new brawlers, but these new brawlers have been so incredibly strong. So is this a cause for concern? I'll let you guys decide. But that's going to be it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time.